Welcome back to World-Beater Wrestling. Today's episode is all about the bump card and exactly how you could and should listen to your body in pro wrestling. So I can confidently tout that I just said tout. Remember tout? Is tout even a word? Like, what is that? Why did I hate myself for saying tout. What the hell? Let's start again. I can confidently state, that's a better word, that the bump card is a very real thing. And I learnt this lesson at age 27, which is the same age that many of my mentors told me I would understand this lesson. So a nice little bit of coincidence there. But when I hit 27, after about 12 years of wrestling, I started noticing a lot of little injuries popping up. Not major things that required surgery, just a lot of overuse injuries. Things like rotator cuff impingements, back problems, neck problems, nothing crazy, nothing that would take me out of the ring for long periods, but things that certainly made it very frustrating to lift weights, to train, to wrestle, to live day to day. And I couldn't understand why, because they seemed to happen out of nowhere. It wasn't like I had done many high-risk things. It wasn't like I was doing many high-risk things. Little things like a normal back break fall that I'd done a million times, and suddenly there goes my neck. Standing up out of bed, and there you go. I've just sprained my back. I've got a month of rehab, going to a physio, all just because I stood up out of bed. But then after going to physios, I started to realize that it was not necessarily the impact of what happened in the moment, but it was almost like that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And the 12 years of repeatedly taking bumps on a hard surface is not what the human body was intended to do. It's been explained before, but it's kind of like a whole collection of low-level car crashes on the body. Okay, not meant to happen, not good for us. We learn safety, but there's only so far you can take it. Now, one of my biggest problems was probably actually in the way I lifted weights. As many young testosterone-fueled 19-year-olds can attest to, we don't really know what we're doing. So we're lifting stupid weight, we're ego lifting with terrible form. And at the time, it's fine, but in years to come, it's going to come back and haunt you. So I will talk a little bit about how you can know when it's time to take your foot off the pedal. But I just want to say that as pro wrestlers, take your recovery seriously, even from a young age. Even when you're lifting weights, warm up first, warm up the body, get the blood flowing. There's many different ways you can look online. There's different ways to warm up your body, get yourself ready for lifting. There's different ways you can get yourself ready to go to the ring or to train. Take it seriously. You will not regret it later. Also, when it comes to things like diet and exercise, more things that you really have to get on top of. Make sure your diet's good. Make sure you're drinking enough water, you're hydrated, you're eating enough of the right foods, getting the right micronutrients in, vitamins and minerals. You're recovering well by sleeping, quality sleep. I have so many episodes on this. I'll link them all above, wherever it goes. But get on top of them and take them seriously. Give them their due diligence, because it'll increase your time on the mat. And at the very least, it'll reduce your frustration when it comes to very small, annoying injuries. Now, when it comes to listening to your body, you hear it all the time, just listen to your body, but how do you effectively and accurately listen to your body? Look, the problem with listening to your body is it is subjective, and everyone's different. We're all different individuals. Many in pro wrestling, I find, are quite stubborn and hard-headed. They have a good pain tolerance, so you get a little niggle, little pain, and it's whatever. It's happened a million times. It's never come to anything worse. I'm just going to keep going. Nothing will happen. And then bam, injury strikes. For others, they might not have a great pain tolerance. And anytime they feel just that little bit of stress or that little bit of fatigue in a joint, suddenly they think their shoulder's completely destroyed and they need 3 months off. It happens. Everyone's different. It is very hard to gauge. It's hard to get an honest representation of exactly what is going on inside your body. However, there are some definite warning signs that will give you a good idea of if you're on the right track. The first one is fatigue and a drop in performance. Now, that's very easy to tell if you're lifting weights, because when you start to see that you can't hit the same numbers that you did for the last week or two, you know that your body is probably a little bit under recovered. you need to take a little bit of time off, a day off, a couple days off, a week off, a bit of a deload week. Wrestling's a little different, but if you start to notice that things just aren't really going your way and you're making a lot of little errors and that you're feeling a lot of little niggles around your body and you're feeling tired, exhausted, sore, and it doesn't seem to go away after a few days, maybe one day is what you need. And if that one day doesn't really do anything to reset you, maybe a few more days. But you start to learn your body a little bit more when you think about and start to take notice of your fatigue. I'd recommend a lot of time taking notes. Take notes of how you feel. How well did you feel during the workout? How well did you feel before and after the workout? How much sleep did you get? I think these are important things to track, particularly in the early days as you start to get a feel of how your body works. A loss of motivation could also be another sign that you're under-recovered, and I'm being careful not to say overtrained, because I think overtrained is like a negative glass half empty kind of way of looking at things. I think under-recovered is a lot more accurate. But if you start to feel that your motivation's dropping, of course that could be many different things, but this is a good place to start. Maybe you just need a day off. Also, if you start to see some changes in your day-to-day life otherwise, maybe you start to see mood swings, irritability, maybe you start to see that your sleep is affected, your quality and quantity of sleep. Maybe you're struggling to fall asleep, or maybe you're struggling to stay asleep, or waking up not feeling well rested. If it's different to the way you usually feel, again, that could be another indication. And the last one, which for me is a massive telltale sign that you are very close to the edge, is illness. When you start to get those little colds, those little bits of sickness that just kind of hit you and linger, often it's more to do with your immune system and the fact that your body is not recovered enough to make that immune system work the way it should. I know that personally speaking, for me, that's the big one. The other things all tend to be pretty consistent across the board, but as soon as I start getting the runny nose and the cough and the sore throat, I know that if I don't take my foot off the pedal, it's gonna get a whole lot worse. Now, it's important to realize that the first sign of these things may not be an accurate indication for you to just completely give everything up and just go and sit on the couch for 3 days. Definitely not what I'm saying. But start to track things, start to listen to these signs, because they may be symptoms. Doesn't mean they're definitely things that are going to happen, but they may be an indication of something more. So keep track of it. If it is happening and it's not really going away after a day or two, take a day off. Rest, recover, chill, relax. You can always make up that session the next day. And if it's something that you are seeing as a persistent thing, take a week off. You may think that taking time off is super counterproductive, but the more you listen to your body and the more you value recovery, the more time you're going to get on the mats in the long run. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and could take a couple of tips from it. As always, if you have any comments, questions, requests, drop them in the comments box below. Please hit the subscribe button. Please ring the notification bell. It all definitely helps the algorithm, and I'll see you next week for another episode of World-Beater Wrestling.
If you want to see more videos like this, click on the subscribe button, spread the word, and if you have any questions or requests for World-Beater Wrestling, don't be afraid to comment below.